Hi, welcome back to Thoughts on Things. This is Josh, and this is part 8 of lesser known books, and this is the little bitty book of Obadiah, the only one chapter book in the Old Testament, and it's up there with but 4 other one chapter books, 2nd and 3rd John and Jude and Philemon, all the rest in the New Testament. So this is the only book in the Old Testament that's just a one-chapter book, just 21 verses. And it is about judgment on the nation of Edom, which if you were watching last time, we were talking about how Edom is the nation that descended from Esau, Jacob's brother. And so the Edomites were, by all intents and purposes, they were relatives of the Israelites. And yet they didn't treat them very well. They rejoiced when they were destroyed, when armies came against them, and then they came and plundered. And so God has some things to say about that through the prophet Obadiah. And so it's the vision of Obadiah is how the book begins. And so it's thought that Obadiah was probably written then sometime shortly after 586 BC, when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came and sieged the city of Jerusalem, knocked down the walls, burned down the city and the temple, and took everyone captive for 70 years. This was the judgment that was promised to the nation of Israel, known as Judah, the southern kingdom, because they had turned from the Lord, they had defiled the land, they had picked up the practices of the nations around them, and so God used the nation of Babylon to judge Israel, and yet he promised restoration to them as well. But in the meantime, nations around Israel decided to take advantage of this and move in and take the plunder. And so it says, "We have heard a message from the Lord, an envoy has been sent among the nations. Rise up and let us go to war against her. And look, I will make you insignificant among the nations, and you will be deeply despised. Your arrogant heart has deceived you, you who live in the clefts of the rock." So this is talking to the nation of Edom. And they built, the cleft of the rock, they built a city that you may have heard of. It's called Petra, City of Rock. And so this is what's being talked about. And they thought they were safe there. And God says, nope, you're not. And I'm going to make you insignificant. I'm going to make people despise you because you stood aloof, as it were, on the day strangers captured Israel's wealth. And while foreigners entered the city gates and cast lots for Jerusalem, you were just like one of them. Do not gloat over your brother, as in the day of his calamity, and do not rejoice over the people of Judah in the day of their destruction. Do not boastfully mock in the day of distress. And don't enter my people's city gate in the day of their disaster, or to gloat over their misery. Stand in the crossroads to cut off their fugitives and hand over their survivors. He says, the day of the Lord is near against all nations. So by verse 15, he turns this as an oracle against all nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. What you deserve will be on your own head. And then at the end, 19 to 21, it says that it's talking about blessings for Israel. People from the Negev, which is the southern part of Israel, says they will possess the hill country of Esau. So he doesn't even call him Edom anymore, he says Esau. And those from the Judean foothills will possess the land of the Philistines. They will possess the territories of Ephraim and Samaria, while Benjamin will possess Gilead. So this is all a bunch of rich land that Israel did not yet possess, but God promised that they would. And so that is yet to come, I think. Says the exiles of Israel who are in Halah, which that is, I'm not exactly sure where that is, but it says those who are among the Canaanites as far as Zarephath, as well as the exiles in Jerusalem who are in Sepharad. They will possess the cities of Negev. Saviors will ascend Mount Zion to rule over the hill country of Esau, but the kingdom will be the Lord's. So God will possess it all ultimately, but the temporary, Charles Spurgeon talks about this, the temporary restoration of the captives from Jerusalem to Jerusalem can only have fulfilled this promise on a small scale. It has a wider meaning than such an event could exhaust. So the Lord is prepared to do the same on a larger scale for all those who have put their faith and trust in Him. So eventually, if you know anything about the end times, Jesus comes back, reigns for 1,000 years, and then the final judgment of all the nations, of all that have ever rebelled against God, who've never accepted the gospel, and then the eternal kingdom sets in, where God will be among His people, and the holy city, New Jerusalem, comes down out of the sky to earth, new heavens and new earth, and so that's the ultimate fulfillment of all of these Old Testament promises. Some of them were fulfilled partially in real time, and some of them are yet to be completely fulfilled. So there's Obadiah, and thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts. If you've read Obadiah, if you have other knowledge, because obviously I don't know everything, and can't cover everything in such a short video. And I try to keep them short so that it doesn't get too tedious to watch for a lot of people. So again, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks again for being viewers. Take it easy.